Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
What's happening right now with the Toronto Blue Jays should have every fan paying close attention because this offseason just shifted into an entirely different gear. The front office just held a press conference yesterday introducing their newest addition, and the most significant information that came out of that event wasn't about the player they signed, it was about what's still coming. The Blue Jays are not remotely finished with their offseason moves, and apparently they're positioning themselves for something massive that could fundamentally change this roster's championship trajectory. The Toronto Blue Jays are actively pursuing Kyle Tucker, and this isn't just casual interest or agents using Toronto's name for leverage. The Blue Jays have been connected to him throughout the entire offseason for obvious reasons. They're World Series champions who could use a powerful left-handed bat. He would be an exceptional addition to this roster and fits perfectly as a five-tool player who would thrive in that clubhouse environment. But here's where things get really interesting. Ken Rosenthal, one of the most connected reporters in baseball, has not only confirmed the Blue Jays are involved, but suggested they might actually have the best financial offer on the table for Kyle Tucker right now. That doesn't necessarily mean they have the best overall package or that Tucker will definitely choose Toronto, but the fact that the dollars are competitive tells you everything about how serious management is about this pursuit. What that contract includes, obviously nobody knows except the Blue Jays and Tucker's representatives, but the idea that they're making this kind of aggressive push shows just how committed they are to throwing every available resource behind this team. They're pulling out all the stops, trying to run this roster right back to the World Series, and Kyle Tucker would push that competitive needle significantly. Think about a lineup that includes him alongside Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and all the other offensive pieces this team has assembled. It becomes genuinely elite, one of the most dangerous lineups in baseball. When you look around the diamond and consider what the Blue Jays could accomplish with these moves, everything starts falling into place. It creates flexibility, it adds depth, and it's definitely going to necessitate some roster moves, whether that's someone like Anthony Santander getting moved for financial reasons or other pieces being shifted around to accommodate the new additions. Does acquiring Tucker move Addison Barger back to the infield if the Toronto Blue Jays don't bring Bo Bichette back? There are multiple scenarios that could unfold here, and the thing that's not being discussed enough in all these analytical pieces is how these roster pieces actually fit together practically. I can't help but notice that the major league experts aren't adequately addressing how these moves work defensively and positionally. They're dismissing players like Ernie Clement as just utility guys, which is genuinely ridiculous when you examine what he actually brings. The Toronto Blue Jays have exceptionally talented pieces, and they're creating flexibility by moving everybody around strategically to get what they need. Let's say you do re-sign Bichette. What that actually accomplishes is creating the possibility that you trade Andres Gimenez for something, probably a quality bullpen arm more than anything else. Gimenez has just one more year remaining on his contract. Ernie Clement is locked up long-term because he's a young player acquired off waivers who's entering his first arbitration-eligible year, which means he's going to be affordable. He's outstanding defensively, and he definitely hits significantly better than Jimenez does currently. So that being considered, I think that's where the Blue Jays ultimately end up going. You keep Clement at second base or wherever it makes sense to complement Bichette. Simple as that. People forget that if we acquire Kyle Tucker, Addison Barger, who has a cannon for a right arm, actually started his career as a shortstop. He was a shortstop throughout high school, college, and his entire development. The Blue Jays actually recruited him as a shortstop originally. He's insanely athletic, and his bat is too valuable to this lineup to lose. He's going to be in this lineup one way or another unless, and this would be unfortunate because he's one of my favorite players to watch, he gets traded because his value right now is at a significant high and he can play third base and outfield. That could happen. I'm not predicting it will, and I think the team control aspect makes it very unlikely. But last year was just his rookie season. It's the first time everything clicked for him. Does it continue? That would be the question evaluators would ask. I think it continues without question because you witnessed the adjustments he made throughout the major league season last year, and he was consistently on top of everything and making it work. Those are the advantages of this Blue Jays current roster construction. All these offensive pieces can flow freely between positions. What acquiring Kyle Tucker definitely signals, though, is that somebody in that outfield is getting traded, guaranteed. Whether it's Santander, Schneider, George Springer, or whoever it might be, something has to give there. Otherwise, the Blue Jays are just going to have this awkward embarrassment of riches and insufficient playing time for everybody. So there you have it. Now let's discuss the press conference yesterday, because the new addition was introduced to the Blue Jays media and everything looked impressive. He's wearing number 7, looked excellent in that blue uniform, and it's going to be fascinating to see what kind of impact his presence has on this roster. That relationship and everything associated with him joining this team is going to be the dominant story of spring training. Mark my words on that. It's going to be incredibly intriguing to follow. He's exceptional at hitting, and the defense, from everything I've observed, is legitimately solid. Hearing so-called experts claiming his defense looks subpar, I genuinely don't know if they're evaluating correctly or they're simply not watching the same video clips I've been examining. To that point, I think it's going to be a tremendously positive relationship with the Blue Jays, and it opens up this Japanese market that could lead to future player acquisitions and all these beneficial opportunities. Beyond that, it generates additional attention for this team. We're going to have significantly more visibility from certain parts of an entire other country that we can leverage even further. On that note, I think it's exceptionally exciting to see where the Blue Jays are positioned this offseason. I don't believe they're finished yet, not even close. When you have a championship window of opportunity like this currently exists, you maximize that opportunity aggressively. The Blue Jays are clearly backing that philosophy up and doing whatever's necessary to run this roster right back to the World Series with legitimate championship aspirations. Make sure you stay connected, because things are developing rapidly. The decisions being made right now will define this franchise's trajectory for the next several years, and management is showing they're willing to be bold and aggressive in pursuit of sustained championship contention. This isn't about incremental improvements anymore. This is about building a roster capable of winning multiple championships, and every move they're making reflects that ambition.